Welcome to Anything Relevant. I was just coming back from archery. I went out and shot my bow for about an hour, and it's been a while since I've been out on the range, and my aim was all over the place as of what I was expecting that. My thumb is sore. I do thumb pull for the pull and the release on the bow. And it's pretty red and raw. That's what I'll do. I'll grab onto the string, knuckles up, elbows up, draw past my face. I like it. It's good to have a hobby. Been using hobbies to assist in what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the recovery of mental health and what I did to get on a healthier path. I'm not at the end zone, but or if there even is one, but it's not in the sense that I'm all the way out of the woods. I'm not. But I do see the sun between the trees now. And I want to talk to you about how I got there. From in the deepest, densest, depressed, anxiety-inducing type of depression that I was in. It was like a dark forest, dreary, energy sapping, hopeless, all that stuff. So for a long time I've been depressed. I'd probably say most of my life, if not all my life. Didn't know it, but now I do. And I took many steps to get here throughout the years, all the way back to even grade 6. But there were hindsight learning after the time spent in counseling or therapy. But recently is what I want to talk about, because I think recently is where I've gotten the most out of it. I was taking a serotonin modifier type of antidepressant that would modify my serotonin to fade slowly so I'd have it longer. This wasn't going to fix me. I wasn't going to take a certain amount of these pills and then be cured. It's not what these pills are for. Like I just explained, they're just slowing down the process. So I experience the serotonin longer. Someone like myself has probably a very low serotonin level. Therefore, it's very easy to get cynical. It's very easy to get overwhelmed. It's very easy to get scared and angry. All lead to the dark side. Well, I think having these pills coupled with something is what was the difference this time around and what made the most effective change. When I sat down to get these pills, I was sitting with a doctor and he was like, all right, so pills, you ready? No. I've been terrified of the idea of pills my whole, my known life of depression. Once I understood what depression was, I didn't want pills. I wanted therapy. That's all I wanted. I didn't want anything else. I didn't want any other type of assistance in getting out. I wanted my own willpower and the profession of another. And some people are got more on their plate, and that wasn't gonna help. It was, and it did. It is slower. I think that's the truth of it. you can do just therapy. You can do self-help. You just got to understand that unless you achieve some breakthroughs with life-altering moments, that it's going to be a slow go. Where I resisted the idea of going on depressants. I've been on 4 different types before that serotonin modifier. And, spent a year on, or more on antidepressants. And I felt worse. Absolutely worse. I felt zombie-like. I felt tired. I felt nauseous. I felt lost. I felt... just I didn't feel like me. It just destroyed my identity. So, over a decade had gone by from those antidepressants to the serotonin modifier. And so when he sat down and said, all right, so pills, I started to cry. I'm like, no, I don't want that. I spent a year on that stuff. That stuff doesn't do anything. I lost weight. I looked like I was dying. I couldn't remember much. I was losing time. And everything else I mentioned. I didn't like it. But I also knew that counseling and watching podcasts on mental health and reading journals about mental health was going too slow for me. It was working, but slow. I'm going to be honest with you. I can be very patient when the task doesn't require getting from A to Z. Like if I've got to... There's certainly... My competitiveness and my impatience really kick in when there's like a road. Like a figurative or literal road. A to Z, I want to get it done. I want to get it done now. I don't want to wait. Don't like waiting. Really don't. But I can wait and I can be patient in many other areas of life. That's not old. That's new. I've developed a lot of patience. I've developed a lot of different shifts in my view, but that's why what we're talking about here today. So he says pills. And I started, breaking down, not liking it. Not liking that that's where we're going. But I decided, all right, fine. Pills, bring them on. So I got on the minimum amount of dosage, 10 milligram. And I'm getting tired. I'm losing weight. I'm not sleeping. I feel really numb. I don't care. Stayed on that for 3 months, doing more reading and podcasting and go to the odd emergency mental health drop-in visit. And then I finally got into a group therapy while on these pills. But something happened before the therapy, though. I wasn't on top of my replenishing of my pills. So I let a couple of days, actually I think it was like 3 or 4 days elapsed without any pills before I got my resupply of pills. And in those 3-4 days, it's like I had a crash from the pills. I was irritable. My temper was... It's like I had taken a whole bunch of steps backwards with my temper. And, I felt ashamed after all that progress. And, then I, like a bull in a china shop, I ruined everything. So I get back on the pills, but then I go visit my doctor and I say, hey, you know what? I notice the difference. When I'm on the pills, I'm not losing my mind. I'm not breaking down. My emotions are more in check. I'm more balanced. But with that balance comes numbness and fatigue and a little bit of forgetfulness and a loss of appetite. But I was looking at it like, not a bad trade-off. I'll do it. Let's go more. So we increase the dosage 150%. And I jump on that. And everything increased. Like the sensations of everything mentioned, good and bad, increased. But then that's when the group therapy kicked in. So I started going to group therapy and listen to people talk, listen to people share, and I'm trying to not monopolize the time. But being there, I did feel more screwed up than the people around me. Made me feel a little like an outlier among people going to group therapy. I'm not blaming anyone, and I'm not trying to glorify my issues. Just more of the lines that I didn't feel like I clicked is what I'm trying to get at. And since I didn't feel like I clicked in, I was still going, I was still talking, I was still listening, I was still reading over the material that we would walk away with. And I was gaining perspective on things. It helped. But I also feel like the couple podcasts, the couple journals that I've been reading, in addition to involving mental health and people that have been in really rough situations and lived a very rough life up until that point, and then they went through a change, a transition. These were, I feel, very beneficial as well. And then I listened to someone say this on a podcast, and this is what really opened a door for me. And I feel kind of like some people could look at me and go, "You didn't know that?" I didn't, so I'm going to tell you what I didn't know. I didn't know that those pills were like a numbing agent. If you look at antidepressant pills as a numbing agent, or a painkiller, or something like the anesthesiologist would give you so a surgeon can open you up, sometimes while you're awake still. They're going to operate on you, they're going to cut you open, they're going to do things to you. So they got to give you this chemical so they can do that. You go to the dentist, they give you something, right? Antidepressants is the same thing as that. These serotonin modifiers are the same thing as that. So if you take these pills and then go to the therapy, then it's putting you in the proper place to learn, to open up your mind and not let your emotions screen, block, and reject what's coming in. So I learned that this numbing agent allowed that self-destructive fight and flight character in the back of your mind that's telling you to do horrible things to the people around you or to yourself, to self-destruct and walk away from the life because it's easier than facing everything and doing everything. That voice, that self-destructive voice, gets turned really far down so you can hear this information that you need to hear. And a lot of this information it really is just common sense, common knowledge type of material, but there's so much research to back it. That's why these professionals are saying it. And they're saying a group of things together that go together as like a package deal for for the lesson needed to learn. So when you're on this numbing agent, this information is received that much more clearer if you look at it this way. Don't look at the pills that are going to cure you, because they never will. Absolutely never will. If you break your arm, how many Tylenols are going to take for your arm to mend? That's what I'm getting at. Tylenol's not going to make your arm better. Your arm's broken. You need professional help. It needs to be set. That's therapy. In order for the doctor to be able to do all this to you, they need you on some drugs so they can even touch your broken arm. So, and that's what those are. I didn't look at it that way. I had this, I can't even remember how I was looking at it. I was just looking at it just at a pure rejection, at a principle. I will not take pills. I will not require that assistance. I can do this on my own. I do not want to turn into a zombie. These are just things that were no, there was no wiggle room on. So I can't even go back and remember how I was viewing pills. But my view on these pills now have changed, and that rigid mentality that I just described is no longer in the mix on this. These drugs gave me the opportunity to have a new perspective, because that anxiety and that depression and that paranoia and that hate and that rage that was surging through me on a daily basis, that wanted to watch the world burn or burn myself down and make everyone else watch, or both, depending on my day, is that aspect that's in everyone. That's in everyone to it's a self-defense mechanism, I believe. It's like, how can an animal chew their leg off when it's stuck just to get away? Can you do that? Get your hand stuck in a drawer, you're going to chew through your arm? I think this is an example that does fit what I'm talking about, is that when you go through depression and anxiety, you feel hopeless. You feel like you can't get out of it. So then you start developing this identity in your head. Can't do that. Too depressed. Can't do that. Anxiety is too hard to fathom. I can't reel it in. So you start altering your life to live around these aspects of who you are. And the thing is that this is your body telling you what you're doing isn't working. Whatever, you got traumatized as a kid, you're just going to ignore it. Well, depression and anxiety are going to creep in. That's like ignoring a broken arm. Oh, I fell out of a tree, broke my arm. What'd you do? I just wrapped it up and put it in a sling and kept going on my day. That arm isn't going to have problems for the rest of its life unless you do what? Do the hard thing. Do the thing you don't want to do. So anxiety comes from trauma. Anxiety comes from massive pain, massive fear, and it doesn't go away. Not until you deal with it. Not until you face it. Not until you forgive it. Not until you conquer it. Not until you understand it. And you're not going to do it without those drugs. Maybe. Slow going. But get out of your own way. In a way, these drugs are like anti-ego pills. They get your ego out of the way. If you look at it that way. These pills could be like you're getting your ego, grab him by the wrist, get out of the way. He's gotta, or she's gotta get through this. So I take those pills at that higher dosage. I refill it a couple times. Then I go to refill it again. find out the doctor that I was seeing no longer practices at that clinic, and all of his prescriptions were canceled, which meant my pills were canceled. And the pharmacist was only allowed to give me a half prescription under like circumstances like these. So I'm like, all right, fine. But when I went up in dosage, I still had that 10 milligram bottle still. I said, should I bring those in? Should I take 2 of them at a time until they're gone and then take the higher dose? He's like, no, just put them on your shelf, ignore them, take the higher dose. All right. So that meant I still had a bottle or a little pill container of them. So since I ran out of the beefed up ones because of that, and I didn't want to go in because there was a hassle involved. I was busy. I was starting to fill my time with things to do, and it was something that I kept pushing off as I'll get to it. So I finished all the high-end ones, and then I started doubling up on the 10 milligram ones, and then when I got halfway through the 10 milligrams, I was only taking one at a time until they ran out. And when they ran out, it was like someone getting out of the canoe. You could do it if you're real careful. Got a little shaky on me, and I was getting real nervous. But then enough time for it to wash out of my system happened. And my impatience was also a lot to do with this, because I figured I gotta eventually get off these pills at some point. Why not now? Well, now that I understand what they were doing for me, and now that I understand what I gotta be doing for myself, do I really need to go the extra mile? Why don't I just jump off the pills right now and just go up my own? Now that I know what I'm doing. Now that I know that's required of me. So I pick up hobbies to watch myself get better, to tell that destructive side of me that wants to self-destruct in order to save, that gnaw your arm off kind of thing. Because that's what it is. It's just trying to save you from something with what you're currently doing, you have no hope in overcoming. It is a self-destruction sequence. Without help, you will end up self-destructing. So you need help. And there's nothing wrong with it. And I had to go through my pride, finally seeing the truth of pills. And I had to relook at that. But that fight or flight instinct is like a scorpion. You reach at the scorpion, it'll sting you. You put the scorpion in a situation where there's no way out, they just start stinging themselves. Why go through the inevitable? If that's the only way out, I might as well just sting myself. That's kind of what I'm getting at. So these pills bypass that. They bypass the self-stinging, the self-destruction. They put that on hold, or they just numb that away so you can find your feet again, so you can stand up again, so you can look in the mirror again. Then you get used to doing it because you're numb. But then you start hearing really good things, and then you start doing these little things that you're being asked of, like, hey, why don't you stretch for like just 2 minutes in a week? And the next week, 2 minutes twice a week. And you're starting to make these small little changes. Make your bed every day. Just make your bed. I'm not going to ask you to work out. I'm not going to ask you to do that stretching thing. Just make your bed every day. Vacuum your room twice a week. And then you start doing all these changes. You get used to it. You're hearing all these good discussions You're reviewing what scares you. And or you know what? You're transitioning. And you no longer need these pills. Because you finally got over the bridge. And there's no need for the safety net anymore because you're back on solid ground. And that's what these pills did for me. I just got impatient and jumped off early. That's just, I guess, my style. I get a little antsy, I get a little stir crazy, I get a little impatient, and I have a lot of self-belief. So on this train of pills and therapy, I looked at the woods, saw that the train track was making a sharp turn. I figured, why not just jump out and cut the corner? I know I'll be running through the woods. I'll be on my own again. And I'll be running around the world with no safety nets and no referees, and I gotta apply what I learned. I like that challenge. That challenge excites me. So I did. I took all those pills until there was nothing left, and when it was time to go get a refill, decided not to. Decided to take everything that I'd learned, stop going to therapy, because I was only supposed to go for like 8 visits, and I got an extension. I didn't want it. Supposed to get 3 more refills on my pills at the higher dosage. I didn't want them. There's more to go, but I didn't feel the need to. Am I right in that? I don't know. Probably not. I trust myself, though. I believe in myself. I love myself. So I decided to. Decided to pour myself into hobbies, like archery. That's why I talked about it. I got to watch myself get better to prove that all that therapy that I've been taking is also the same thing. It's improvement. So, if anyone out there listening is afraid of taking antidepressant pills after talking with your doctor, I want you to understand that you got every reason to be afraid of them. But you don't know why you're afraid of them. And I was just like that. So I recommend you strongly consider taking them. Because here's the thing. You don't take them, what's going to change? What are you going to do to make it better? It's on you. So what are you going to do? And if you do take them, they're not a wonder drug. They're not going to fix you. They're not going to cure you. They just buy you the time. You still have to do the work. You still have to make those mental breakthroughs, those emotional breakthroughs. There's those doors you have to open into those dark rooms of your own mind that you're terrified of, that you hate. The pills give you the numbness to walk in, look around, snoop. That's what you got to do. That's what the pills are there for. And that's the only thing they're there for. They're not there for anything else. They give you the ability to snoop through your own garden, your own backyard, your own closets, underneath the carpet, and do what you have to do. Do what's required of you. So I guess I wanted to share that. Consider them. It just might save your life. Thank you for joining me again for anything relevant. Have a good one.